Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Johnson County Library's Did You Hear podcast. My name is Gregg Winsor. I'm a reference librarian here at the Johnson County Library, and I'm joined by Melissa. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, Greg. I'm Melissa Horak-Hearn, and I'm also a reference librarian here at JCL.
And joining us today is Carrie. Hello, Carrie. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do here at the library?
I am an information specialist, and I'm at the Monticello and DeSoto branches, where I run book groups for both locations.
That's awesome. Can you tell me, how long have you been a librarian? How long have you worked as a librarian?
3 years now.
Okay.
It's flown by.
And one of the interesting things about librarians is that sometimes we're referred to as professional readers. We come to the library every day and we're surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands, of different titles, books, DVDs, audiobooks, you name it. And it always interests me about why do you choose to read what you read? And so as a reading interviewer that we want to know a little bit more about you, tell us about a book that we absolutely have to know about.
You should know about the Chillberry Ladies Choir. It's by Jennifer Ryan. It's a historical fiction novel. It's World War II. And they are the women left behind in Kent, England. And the women form their own choir, which is unheard of at the time because usually it's a male and female choirs. Uh-huh. So they gather together, they go to church, they practice, and they win a competition and get to go to London right as the Nazis are about to invade. And there's lots of intrigue with inheritances, stolen children, and much, much more. Okay,
now tell me, how did you discover this book, and what drew you to it?
This is my December book club book for the DeSoto group, and I was drawn to it because I love World War II fiction, and this one seemed very interesting and different because I've not read many books about choirs, so...
What was it that really reached out and grabbed you and made you think that one was going to be a good one for discussion?
Usually I'm looking for really strong characters, and this one has a lot of different characters because it's told from letters to different people and diary entries. So that is always an interesting thing that I look for is how's the story told, characters, the setting, what all is going on in the novel, and is there going to be enough.
Now, is this an epistolary novel where part of the book is kind of written as letters and telegraphs and those types of things?
Yeah. So it's all letters and journal entries from a variety of different women in the choir.
Now, is this kind of a niche group where kind of an epistolary book set in World War II? Mm-hmm. Is there many other books that are kind of like that, or is this kind of a unique little thing?
It reminds me a lot of the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society.
Okay, say that 5 times.
I know. I always have to stop and think about the order of those words. Yeah.
And is that one that another book like that you recommend as well?
It is. It's a fantastic book and was recently a Netflix movie. So highly recommend.
Okay, great.
Is that the kind of thing that you usually read?
I am very into World War II fiction for some reason. Just the stories and just the epic scope of it always fascinate me.
Really? Mm-hmm. What is it like? How do you feel when you read one of those books? What is it that kind of gets you in the gut?
It's just the human stories and it actually happened, and I can't even fathom going through it and all the different parts of it, whether it's here or in England or in Germany.
Also, another thing I think would be interesting about reading that book is that this all happened in kind of living memory.
Yes.
Right? There are people alive who fought, who remember, whose lives were affected by that war, as opposed to something like the Roman Empire, which may be an interesting thing for people to read, but happened so long ago over a sea away.
That's what fascinates me as well, is it was so close to us really in time.
What was the first World War II or similar book like this that really told you, I need to read more about this topic?
Gerda Weissman-Klein, and it was a biography by her, and it's all about my life, and she spoke to my 8th grade class, and then I read the book in college, and since then I have been just hooked on World War II books because they're just, the stories, I can't imagine them.
So in 8th grade, I was reading mostly X-Men comic books, and you were reading World War II, heavy biographies and documentaries.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know what it says about me, but it just hooks me every time.
That's okay.
So you're into kind of the heavy. Do you think that you need a certain level of discomfort to enjoy it?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do wonder what draws me to it and like what I get from it and why I put myself through it, because sometimes reading it I'm just like, I have to step away for a while. Like, we're going to come back to this one and I'm going to go read something light and fluffy.
I know what you mean. I'm the same way. I like to be exercised.
Yeah.
But now, do these books mostly have happy endings, or is it kind of like end on kind of a down note?
Most of them sometimes do have a happy ending. Surprisingly, they'll make it through the war, or this, a few of them will die, and something great will happen to the rest of them, and they'll, have fond memories.
Now,
of
with
their
this
time.
one and also the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie, are these good starter books for somebody who's maybe interested in reading about that topic, but maybe just needs an excuse to dip their toe in? Is this a good starter book?
It is a great starter book because it's kind of light and fluffy compared to a lot of them, because the women aren't actually involved in any of the war. There's not a lot of, German concentration camps. So
Okay.
yeah.
So most of that stuff is happening off screen, and
Right.
this is what happened with those who were left behind.
Right,
and
exactly.
left to carry on the traditions and the journeys.
Cool. That's an angle that we don't get to see very often that I think is growing in popularity, that whole what was
Yes.
happening on the home front.
Yes.
Why do you think that things are moving in that direction?
I think because a lot more people are telling women's stories and what they were doing during this time. Because you get a lot of the male perspective and the soldiers fighting and how that happened. But there's a lot of stories about the land girls now and the women left behind. The Women in the Castle by Jessica Shattuck came out last year. And she talks about 3 different German women and how they all came together.
I've heard about that book. It got lots of good pub when it came out.
Yes, it was fantastic as well, and showed a whole different side of the war that I had not read about before.
Great. That's it's a little bit deeper than my X-Men comics expertise from when I was in 8th grade, but I think it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Now, as we kind of wrap up, tell me about, you said you run a book club
I do.
in DeSoto and coming into Monticello. Is this type of book good for a book club or a book group? Is it very discussable?
It's very discussable because there's a lot of different topics, and for a lot of my ladies in my DeSoto group, their parents fought in World War II, and so they have very interesting stories about what that was like.
Again, that living memory
And the
thing.
living memory and the personal histories and the sunflower ammunition plant in DeSoto. So they bring that up a lot, and it's fascinating to hear about. That's a reason why a lot of them live in DeSoto.
That's
Their
great.
family came here for that.
So but not only do they talk about the book, I'm sure they talk
Right.
about their own family histories
Yes,
as well.
which makes the book group even more fun and engaging for everyone there, because they're, discussing everything that you read together, but then they're also bringing their own personal stories. And it's something that you can't get anywhere else, I don't think. So.
Do you get the chance to do that very often, to kind of tailor your book choice to sort of engage your club like that?
Sometimes I do look for books that are going to bring different stories in that I know that they have. Something set in Kansas, for example.
So that real life touch,
Yes,
that not just, galaxies away or,
Right.
in other different countries, is something that kind of touches the people there that come to that book group.
Exactly, yeah. Because it's nice to be able to get together, with women who have been doing this for 18 years now. They've been in the DeSoto group, so it's fantastic to hear.
Also, Carrie, since we're kind of reaching toward the end of 2018, what's a book that came out this year that we absolutely have to know about?
You should know about She Rides Shotgun, which is completely different and not in any way related to World War II.
It's not a World War II book?
No, it's not. This one is present day, and it is a bit of a thriller. A man leaves prison, but the Nazis, well, I shouldn't say the Nazis, the Aryan gangs are...
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, I know. They always hook me. The Aryan gangs are going to kill his wife and child, and so he has to get his daughter away from this life, and so he takes her out, and she learns to defend herself, learns to fight, and they're on the road running away from the horrible Aryans.
Okay, so this is like a thriller, like
It's
an
a
on-the-road
thriller.
thriller?
We've
It
gone
is.
from choir girls to spy girls
Yes.
in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think we'll probably wrap up today's discussion with a On a good note, now, most people who work in libraries, I've discovered, have good memories of libraries as a kid. Something about a book or a librarian or something kind of convinced or kind of helped you make that choice to become a librarian down the road. Can you talk about a good memory that you have as a librarian, from the library as a young one?
Yes, I would check out the exact same book every single time we went to the library, and it was called Bramberley Hedge. And they're little animals, and they live in England, and so there's little mice in their little burrows, and it was just the cutest book I've ever seen in my life.
It's like a Wind in the Willows type
Yes,
of a thing, right?
it is. It's adorable, and I just loved it. And it was huge, gigantic, and I would always just lug it home with me every week, so it was great.
Okay.
That's fantastic. And that got you on the road to
It did.
choir girls in World War II and
Yes.
people being chased by Aryans. It's all at the library, I tell you what.
See, we contain multitudes.
We
here at the
really
library.
do.
Well, Carrie, I'd like to thank you for coming in today and sharing some of the books that that brought you into librarianship and that you and your book club enjoy. Can you make a list and send it to us so we can post this along with the episode?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yay, I look forward to that.
All right.
And Melissa, I want to thank you for joining me as well.
Thank you, Greg, and thanks, Carrie.
Thanks for having me.
I'd also like to thank David Carson and Edward Arab for producing this podcast. And we'll see you next time.
That's a wrap, people.
Okay.
Okay?
For more episodes of Did You Hear, go to the Johnson County Library website, jocolibrary.org/didyouhear.